That is the front page.
Yes.
So mimi na mute, kazi yangu tu ni kuscroll, si ndio?
No, just simply scroll from there.
Okay.
Yes. Whenever I move to the next page,
yes,
just need to scroll from there. But
okay.
I'll give the final overview kwanza.
Okay.
Victor.
Yes, na. Victor, unanisikia?
Nakusikia. Nataka kupana overview kwanza.
Okay, okay.
Then when I come to the case study, fungua the second page.
Okay, second page.
Second slide.
Ndio.
Yes. So nikikuja hapo,
okay,
then utanisaidia ku scroll from hapo ama kunisaidia kusoma wakati ambao nitakwambia usome.
Okay, sawa.
Yes.
Okay.
So tunaanza?
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Mute from your side.
Okay.
Then I start on my presentation from this other end. And if there's any recording, you can start from now.
Yes, I've started the recording.
Yes.
Aye.
Now, what I want to present today is on police files. And police files are mainly used for the purpose of prosecutions. And our presentation today, we are going to look at the procedures of compiling the investigations files in Kenya. Then we'll look at the content of the police file. And you'll find that the procedure of compiling the police files in Kenya is mainly governed by the National Police Service orders under Chapter 12, under Chapter 42, sorry. And the main procedure starts from recording the crime incident report. Then you have the case filing, the case planning, collection of evidence. These evidence are mainly used in this process as investigative tool. The evidence analysis and interpretations, putting all these things which I've just mentioned into consideration, is going to form our police file. So you also remember that, or you must know that the police investigation does not take place in one day. It can take several days. It can take several weeks or months. So when compiling the police files are numbered from subfiles A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J. So if you look at those alphabets starting from A, so A will be the first one, but it will not come at the top of the file. What will come at the top of the file is subfile I. Subfile J, being the last subfile, will be at the second page of the file itself. So before you look at the scenarios which will assist us in compiling the police file, let's start with the subfile A, which goes into the file as the first subfile. So the content of subfile A will be the initial or the incident report. This initial or incident report it's not necessary that it come in form of AB or B. It can come in form of a complaint which someone sends it in a correspondence form. That's a complainant writes a letter to the police institutions. Then that will form the base of the complaint. The second one will be the crime report form. The other one, you can have the B extract, and any other subsequent report will go that sub file A. If there's any amendment to initial report, it is put in subfile A. Now, this subfile A, after being numbered as subfile A, it also has some other numbers inside. For example, if our initial incident report is numbered as A1, and this subfile A1 has around 3 pages, so we can mark it as subfile A1 Roman 1. That's the first page. The second page, A1 Roman 2. The third page, A1 Roman 3. That's under the initial incident report. If that person wrote a complaint to, for example, officer commanding a police station, then the officer commanding a police station received that complaint in form of a letter, then that will go to subfile A. It will form the initial incident report. Sometimes you can walk into a police station and make an OB. So whoever is going to record that incident OB will extract that OB and put it in subfile A. If your report, if your extract, if your B extract in that case, for that matter, goes to 3 pages or has been written in 3 pages, then the investigating officer is going to write them as A2. Remember that the initial one was initial incident report, which was A1. The one for OB will move to A2 Roman 1 for the first page. Second page will be A2 Roman 2. That page will be A3 Roman 3. Still in the subfile A, if you are going to have the amendment to the initial reports, and this amendment come in series. Remember that I said the police investigation is not a one-day affair. It can go several days, several weeks, or months. So if you are going to have other amendments which will come in, you are going to put them as A3 Roman 1, if the first one. The second one will be A3 2. This for the second page. So maybe after 2 or 3 days or some days, another amendments come in. So you're going to have it as A3. Then the next one will be A4. Then you also number them depending on the number of pages. Now, to conclude on subfile A, the subfile A contains all the documents which relates to the report of the offense. And I've said that each document in subfile A is usually marked from the bottom up. And when marking any subfile, not necessarily subfile A alone, from subfile A to J, you mark it using a red ink or a red pen at the top margin. At the top margin of that page. Then subfile B, the subfile B contains any documentary evidence. Any evidence which is being documented, that evidence must relate to the crime. The crime being reported or the crime which was reported in subfile A. the crime which was recorded at the subfile A. So each document in subfile B should be placed in envelope, and that envelope have to be placed in that section of the subfile B. So that envelope must be marked. That envelope must contain, must indicate the evidence which it carries. Sometimes, for the ease of reference or to reduce the paperwork, the investigating officer can have one envelope having several documentary evidence in it. But at the top of the envelope, the investigating officer usually marks that the documentary evidence number 1 is photograph. The documentary evidence number 2 are the maps. So it will depend with the investigating officer. Some of the investigating officers will have each envelope carrying its own documentary evidence. So for this case of subfile B, each document in the subfile is also numbered as B1, B2, B3. So remember that this subfile usually contains the documents, the documentary evidence. Moving to subfile C. This subfile contains reports from experts relating to the reports of the offense. So we already have our incident. We have collected our evidence, in documented evidence, and documented them. Then those evidence which you have collected and place them in subfile B, you have the expert who is going to analyze them. And the expert can be a medical doctor, can be the handwriting expert, government analyst, geologist, bomb expert. All those experts are going to give us the report concerning the incident, which is going to link the crime to the suspect we are going to have. So each document in this subfile is marked from the top to bottom, and from the top of each page of the subfile, or each page, is going to be marked with the red ink at the right hand corner. So if you have, for example, the medical report, that is what is commonly known as a P3, that forms the basis of the expert report relating to the crime, and P3 can be used in this case. Then we have the post-care reports, that is PCR reports, the usually known as, we have the postmortem reports, P23, you have the ballistic reports. So in a subfile, if you're going to have all those reports, study incident, we have those in a file, then we are going to have our P3 as C1, then PRC report as C2, then postmortem report as C3. So we number them in that order. Now, the copies of reports in this subfile should be supported by the statements from the experts. And these statements must be signed. It must be signed. Moving to subfile D. Subfile D, this subfile contains prosecution witnesses. The statement of all the witnesses who witnessed this incident happening, all the persons who saw the incident reported in subfile A happening. So we are also going to have in this subfile D the reports of ID parade. Remember that we have two forms of parade, the dog parade and the ID parade. So in our police file, you're only concentrating on the ID parade, identification parade. And that ID parade statement of the police officer who conducted the ID parade in that sub file. So the statement form is P2B. That is, each document in subfile D is marked from at the right hand corner of every page of the statement. So if you are going to have around 4 or 5 witnesses, then we are going to number them as D1, D2, 3, 4, and 5. So if each witness, for example, have or more than one page, for example, witness 1, if witness 1 have its oral statement as containing 2 pages, so you're going to have the subfile D for that witness 1 to be D1, the first page, D1, Roman 1, the second page will be D1, Roman 2. Now, let's proceed to subfile E. In the subfile E, the subfile E contains the statement of the accused. The statement of the accused can come in 3 forms. It can come as the plain statement of the accused. It can come in form of charge and cautionary statement or statement under inquiry. So it will depend on what the investigating officer will record in that part. Subfile F is what is known as investigation diary. The investigation diary is all the events from the time when the incident or offense was being reported up to when that file moved to prosecution's office for prosecution in court. So, for example, the officer commanding the police station received a report. That report is recorded in an OB. Then, the officer commanding a station will minute that case to an officer who is going to investigate. Then the officer take up the case, call the witnesses. So from the time of reporting, the officer investigating have to record the time, date, when that incident was reported. He will have to record the time when, whenever he or she call any witness, he'll have to record in that form. If the investigating officer sent the complainant for medical attention, he or she will record. If you receive P3, it has to be recorded there, the time and date, and the parties who are involved in that part. We are going to see that in our case scenario. So what I've said, WhatsApp file contain the reports which have to be recorded accurately, and this report must contain the parties involved, the date, time, and sometimes places, because sometimes you may get the investigating officer moving from one point to another for the purpose of evidence collection. So that's all about subfile F. Then we move to subfile G. The subfile G usually contain at least 6 documents. The first one at the top being the charge sheet. Then, if that person was given a cash bail, you are going to have the copy of the receipt. You are going to have the apprehension report form. You are going to have the warrants, examination of the alcohol blow report, P70, you're also going to have them there. Bond and bail will file them there. Then thereafter we'll move to subfile H. This subfile contains the list of witnesses. It contains the list of exhibits also. So basically, what happens in subfile H are the list of all those things which assist us in the investigations and in prosecutions. So I've said you have the list of witnesses, you have the list of exhibits, you have if the accused person was arrested with these properties, I'm going to list these properties there. The properties include the cash. You are also going to have the accused person criminal records. Then you are also going to have the fingerprints and the descriptive forms of the accused person. Then the second last subfile is subfile I. This subfile contains the covering reports. The covering report, which has several things in it. One, the covering report contains the offense which the accused is being charged on. It surely refers to the statement of the law. It contains the facts which give rise to that incident. That's from the beginning to the end. It contains the findings of the investigating officer. And the last one, it contains the recommendation. What do the investigating officer recommend? Does he recommend that person to be charged for the criminal offense, or recommend it to be referred for the civil case? Then after that, this investigating officer will forward that file to prosecution, who is going to either approve the charges recommended by the IO or recommend otherwise. And if you recommend otherwise, is going to send a correspondence. If when the IO receives the correspondence from the DPP, from the prosecution, that correspondence will move to subfile J. So apart from the correspondence from prosecution, we can have any other correspondence being sent by investigating officer to any other agencies that are going to assist in investigations. So those correspondence will be placed in subfile J. Now we can move to our case study. Our case study on the screen. We have that one case. The case is a political one. It's a real case. And maybe I can request Garuya, you can read for us the case.
Okay, in a few as I unmute. So, police case files, case study presentations. The following is a fictional case study of a series of criminal offences that allegedly occurred on the 15th October 2009 at Lehman Brothers Bank along Kirinyaga Road, Nairobi. The same has been used to explain how a police file is prepared in criminal litigation. So, I'm reading everything, Victor.
Yes, now, if you look at the third slide, we have the date, no, the third one.
Okay.
Yes, that one. So that is the date and the time of the report was on 15th October 2009. So the name of the complainant is this one, the Dawood Kohli senior cleaner. Then move to slide 4.
So description of
go now.
Okay, on the 15th October 2009, Mr. Dawood Kohli, an employee of Lehman Brothers Bank, headquarters along Kirinyaga Road, Nairobi, left his house in Kayole at about 5:30 a.m. so as to beat traffic jam along Jogoo Road, and he arrived in the office early enough, opened the bank and cleaned it up. Mr. Dawood is employed as a senior cleaner at the bank, a position he has held for the last 35 years. On arriving at the bank, At about 5:45 a.m., the bank was dark and it appeared to him that the electricity connection to the banking hall was not functional. Before opening the main grill, he approached the night guard, one Mr. Papa, who was in a cubicle next to the main door grill. To his shock and amazement, he realized that the uniformed man was not Papa but a total stranger who wiped out a gun and placed it on his forehead. Immediately thereafter, 3 other persons emerged from the shadows, each armed with a gun, and ordered Mr. Dawood to open the bank immediately. The sun was rising fast, but it was not clear to Mr. Dawood Kohli who the 4 men were. He could only recognize Papa Popo, the security guard who had been stripped of his uniform and his hands bound from behind. He appeared to have been thoroughly beaten as he seemed unconscious of what was happening around him. Mr. Dawood Kohli was forced to open the bank, after which the 4 men made him to lie down on his face next to his desk as they ransacked the banking hall. Unknown to the robbers, Mr. Dawood Kohli reached out for the panic button under his desk and pressed it as the 4 men were leaving. Police from the Central Police Station arrived and a shootout ensued. One of the men was shot dead while the other 3 escaped with all they had collected from the bank. The bank estimated lost 12 million Kenyan shillings. So I'm also reading this part, Victor. Names of the accused: Mr. Kondo Masa, Mr. Rotu Rais, and Mr. Pangasi Sida. Action taken: reported to police, and Mr. Kondo Masa, Mr. Rotu Rais, and Mr. Pangasi Sida were arrested. Condition of suspects on arrest: the suspects were unhurt and proper physical condition. Date of arrest: 27th October 2009. Place of arrest: Komarok Estate. Arresting officer: Chief Inspector Matata Shida. Investigating officer: Inspector Koigi Mbugwa. Preparation of a police file. Based on the above incident, I will explain.
You can leave it there, Victor.
Okay.
So what I wanted to say now is that based on the incident which I've just described above, the incident we have just read. So we are going to prepare a police file, and you'll find that everything which you have just indicated or which you have just read in that incident will fall into all the subfiles from subfile A to J. So you can move the next slide, subfile A. So this is what I explained earlier, that in this subfile, the prosecutor keep all the documents relating to the offense and the subsequent reports and any other amendment reports. So each document is going to be received or it's going to be placed in this file will be marked as A1, and depending on the number of pages which are there in that A1, then we'll number them in Roman numbers. Any other document will be will be A2, A3, or A4. Then, depending on the number of pages, then any other page which form that document in subfile A, then it will be numbered in Roman letters. Let's move to the next slide. Next. Now, subfile A. This is the incident in file A1. This is what is so-called the incident report. And remember that the incident report is written in capital letters. They are not written in small letters. Now, this incident report, it has the time, date, which that incident was being reported. So in this case, our date was on 15th October 2009. So then we are going to have our time. It is usually in the first paragraph of the first line of that incident report. Then we are going to have the name of the complainant. Remember, I said everything will be in capital letters. And usually, this incident report, it is usually in a template form. It's a form which the investigating officer or the officer receiving the report usually fills in whatever report he or she receives from the complainant. So the officer will write the date, then time, then the name of the complainant, and the description of the incident. So the incident was on 15. So the officer described all that incident the way you have just read, but in a summarized form. Then next, slide number 11. So 12. That's still the description of the incident. Now, after describing the incident, in that form, we are going to have the name of the accused. The name of the accused, we already have them. We have Mr. Kondo, Mr. Rotu, Mr. Kagasi. So we fill the name of the accused not immediately, but we fill the name of the accused after the arrest. So usually before the arrest, that part remains blank because the investigation is still in process. You don't have the suspects, you don't have the accused. So once you have the accused, then we come in and fill that part. The action taken will be also filled, that is reported to police. We just leave it that part blank, but we just fill reported to the police. Now, the next one, condition of the suspect on arrest. Now, when you arrest the suspect, the arresting officer will fill the condition of the suspect there. Then the date of the arrest also indicated, place of the arrest, the arresting officer has to fill the name, and the investigating officer. So remember that the arresting officer and the investigating officer are two different persons. The arresting officer and the investigating officer are two different parties. Now, the next slide, that will form subfile A2. This is the amendment. This is the further report, which was being received by the Chief Inspector Matata. And you find that in this subfile 2, it has the date, time, and place. So the date, time, and place, the date is on 15 October, time is 10:15 a.m., place is Central Police Station. Next. Now, this is the further report which this person wrote, and this person placed that in subfile A2. Next. So, the further report was that the robbery with violence, contrary to section 296(2) of the Penal Code. So all this which is being described there are the further reports on what was received. Now moving to subfile B. This subfile usually contains the articles of documentary evidence, as I said earlier, that the documentary evidence contains the photographs, it contains the sketches of documentary exhibit, the sketches of the scene, or the map. So anything documented will move to this subfile. So these are our documentary evidence. So these are the photographs of the guns which were found at the scene of our case study. So this is the B2. Remember the first one, the first photo. These were the AK-47 assault rifles. Then remember that the first one was labeled as B1. Then the second one is B2. Then we move to the next. The recovered cash, 10,800,000. You have them there. Then you can take the photograph of those cash. Subfile C. The subfile C, remember it says it contains the postmortem reports and those from police labs, the government chemist, medical officers reports, and any other expert like the handwriting expert, document examiner, or any reports you'll place them there. So the copies of this document will form subfile C. Subfile D. Subfile D, we're going to have D1, D2, D3, all those contain the copies of the statements of the prosecution witness. And remember that the IO form part of the prosecution witness, and each statement will go to the last page, the last subfile. So this is a sample of the first prosecution witness. That's the next. Yes, this sample of the first prosecution witness, Mr. Dawood. And remember that the first prosecution witness is usually a complainant in that case. And if the complainant is dead, and you have the postmortem report, so that first person who noted, who found him dead, is going to form D1. Next. So that is the sample report, the sample of the statement of Mr. Dawood in our incident. The second prosecution witness will be in our slide number 24. That was the second prosecution witness. His statement is below there. The next one, Mr. Minor. The statement of the Mr. Minor. Next prosecution witness is Inspector Koigi. I think this is IO. Then we have the next Chief Inspector Matali. This is the IO now. The other one was arresting officer. Then just move on to the next. This is a doctor who's going to give us the report on the medical part. Move to slide number 16. Next slide. The evidence of identification parade. So if there's any identification parade being conducted, it's going to be described in that next part. Next, the statement of the police officer conducting the ID parade, is going to have them there. This subfile E. The subfile E contains what I've projected there, basing on our incident. Go to the next part. So, in our case, in a scenario, this was a cautionary charge and cautionary statement being recorded by the accused under subfile E. Remember that we say subfile E contains the statement of the accused, and the accused statement can come in three forms: either plain statement, charge and cautionary, or statement under inquiry. Next. So the sample for that one, they just below these explanations.
Oh, Victor, you have said some technical. Victor, apologies to interject. You have said some technical words. We seek clarification on the types of statements. Just a small explanation.
Sometimes I've said that this subfile contains three types of the statements. One, the plain statement of the accused. The accused wish to write the statement concerning the incident, just as it is, as plain as it is. Then the other one will be charge and cautionary statement. The charge and cautionary statement is also being recorded by the accused, with the assistance of the police officer who is of the rank of chief inspector and above. And usually, these statements are based on those serious crimes like murder, homicides, robbery with violence. Hope you are getting me now.
Yes, thank you, Victor.
Now, subfile, the next subfile, okay, the sample of that, what I've just said, just below that subfile, before subfile F. Then we move to the next subfile, that is F, which contains subfile F. I've said it contains the investigation diary. It contains anything which the investigating officer is going to do and must pertain to that case under the investigations. If the investigating officer moves from his workstation to the field to collect the evidence, take those evidence to government chemists, take those evidence to document examiner, take those evidence to the medical officer, go to morgue, witness postmortem, all those things. So any movement, any step which the investigating officer is going to take will fall under subfile J. Enough, they have to record the time, the place, and if there's any party involved, he or she will have to record in that subfile F. It is usually in a template form, whereby the investigating officer is just fill in the time, place, and date, then what he or she does at that particular time. So we move to the next slide. So that's a sample of the investigation diary. You see we have the OB, then time, then the subject of what the investigating officer was doing was out on inquiry. Then the parties who are involved are described there. They were booking to go to Kirinyaga Road within Nairobi. They were on board of the GK motor vehicle with the driver. So they were going for inquiries or whatever. Then when they came back to the station, they record and they also record their findings. So if they went to Kirinyaga Road and arrested the suspect, then they come back, they also have to record there in the investigation diary. Someone will ask us the difference between investigation diary and the occurrence book. The two are different. In that what is being recorded in the OB, the way it's being uplifted to investigation diary. And it is always not necessary that whatever you write in investigation diary to be an OB. You may book in the occurrence book that you are going for the inquiries or for the arrest, and when you're in the field, instead of the arrest, you collect other evidence, and you fail to come and record in the OB. So whatever form or the content you place in the investigation diary are not necessarily to be in OB. But whatever is in OB, all of them must be in the investigation diary concerning that case. Next. Subfile G. This subfile contains the charge sheet. This subfile contains the bond to attend court. And it also contains the details of the accused person, witnesses, and any other persons who are involved in the case under investigations. This sub-file, I've said, it contains any other reports, maybe from AlgoBlow reports, from operation reports, or cash bail, or bail and bond. All those things which relate to this sub-file or the charges are going to be placed in this sub-file G. Next. The sub-file H, anything to do with the list is placed in sub-file H. The list of witnesses, the list of exhibits, list of the accused property, the list of criminal records, fingerprints, you place them in sub-file H. Then you move to sub-file I. The sub-file I, this contains the governing report, and I've just explained that the governing report is usually drawn by the investigating officer, and it has 4 parts. 1, the statement of the law, that this case about robbery violence, contrary with section, that's statement of the law. 2, facts of the case, or the circumstances surrounding the case. 3, findings, the investigating officer's findings. And the last one are the recommendation. Then once you are done with that, the file is forwarded to prosecution for further recommendations. The prosecution will return that file to the investigating officer with his or her recommendations, either approval of the charges or disapproval. So any correspondence written by the DPP will be placed in sub-file J. Any correspondence written by the IO to any other agency are placed in sub-file J. Any correspondence responded by all those other agencies are placed in sub-file J. So any letter the investigating officer writes, be it to the prosecutor in court, to hospital, to any other agencies just in investigations, are placed in sub-file J, with their results being placed in the respective sub-files. So if the investigating officer writes to Safaricom requesting for the call data, that correspondence, but the results from Safaricom, since they form part of our exhibit, they are going to be placed in sub-file B. I hope that the police files or the police case files are complete. And again, to remind you is that you cannot start investigation today, this evening, and finish today. The investigations can go for several days, weeks, or months, and sometimes to over years. And for that reason, what happened is that what made them go for that long are mainly for the evidence collection, which they're going to assist the prosecution in prosecuting the suspect. Yes, Victor.
Thank you, Victor, for that technical presentation. You have summarized it in a way that we now understand. I greatly appreciate. I also had some quick fire questions that will stem from the same, but also linked to other procedures because you are well familiar with the processes. One is, when it comes to identification parades, what is the mistake that the investigating officers or the person conducting the identification parade usually conduct. And two, I also saw a question that asked the students to state various reforms that can be done in identification parades in Kenya. I hope Victor, you are noting down the questions so that I can also give chance to Brian to ask any question that he has. So I've asked about challenges in ID parade. I've asked about reforms that ID parade can be implemented. And lastly is, assume now you want to make an arrest and you don't have warrants. So, and that person is in another jurisdiction from the court that you want to arraign this person to. You can just tell us about how this application is made, and when it comes to jurisdiction, you can't trace this person, her summons, you are calling the person, she or she is not appearing. That discussion too in a brief manner, because you are well versed with them. Thank you.
Let me start with the last one, which you have just said, the arrest in jurisdictions, which are different. So what usually happens is that the magistrate will issue the summon, the warrant of arrest, which is going to be sent to data magistrates in the jurisdiction where that accused person is, or that person who has absconded the court is, with the guidance of the Criminal Procedure Section 103 or 2. Just a minute, I confirm. Now, when arresting when effecting the arrest of the person who is outside the jurisdiction, it will be guided by Section 112 of the CPC. So that will answer you. I'll advise you to go through that one. The other question, was on the challenges of ID parade. One of the challenges of ID parade is this. One, some of the procedures you have to stick on. And some of these procedures is that the suspect must be informed of the reason which you are conducting the ID parade. So you will find that at this time, instead of the person conducting the ID parade informing the suspect on the reason, they are being ambushed. So that will inform the reason. So I'll advise you to go to read the case of David Mwita Wanja and 2 others versus Republic. The second one is that the suspect may have an advocate or a friend present. And since the suspect may not be able to know that he or she is required to have a friend or the advocate around, is being denied that opportunity. That will form another problem. You go and read the case of Joshua Mutiso versus Republic. That informs you well on that. Sometimes you find the investigating officer carrying out the ID parade. He is not allowed to conduct the ID parade, but he may be present there when the ID parade is being conducted. Sometimes it's not necessary that it be there. Number 4, is that the accused person should be placed to stand in between with that position being changed every time while he or she is with other 8 persons. 8 persons who have the similar stature. So some of the mistake or some of the challenges that we may not get these people who are similar to the accused person. For example, you go and a person who is extra tall, like our friends from the northern part of our neighboring country, and our citizens here are short compared to ours. So you'll get a challenge in having those parties who are similar, because we are required to have the persons who are of similar age, similar height, appearance, class as that person whom we are going to place in the ID parade. So that will form a challenge. Sometimes we include the persons who are not authorized. And not have just noticed some other police stations, they bring in police officers to form part of the ID parade. That is wrong. The police officers, not unless they're the one being accused, that is when they're being brought in. So that's another challenge which we get. Sorry. Then I've said the police officers should not make up the ID parade unless they are themselves the accused person. Then, when explaining the procedure to a witness, the police conducting the parade will tell that he will see the group of the people. He'll inform him in advance, and those people who are in that group may contain the person whom was responsible for the crime. But again, we just ambush that witness with the parade. So whether the accused person is there or not, I will refer you to go and read the case of Biko and 2 others versus Republic, or the case of Oluoch versus Republic, or the case of Simon Kairu versus Republic. So, to guide you or to summarize that, go and look at the procedures of conducting the ID parade. You may also ask the exceptions of conducting the ID parade. Some of the exceptions of conducting the ID parade is that when the suspect refused to participate in that ID parade, you should not force him. But it will be a challenge, or it will form part of the challenge, when the investigating officer and the conducting officer forces him to participate in the ID parade. Again, as I told you, if we find that there are no other persons who are going to have the similar characteristics with the accused person, then it's not going to be possible for us to conduct the ID parade. We'll just leave it there. Where the witness cannot identify the offender, the ID parade will not be conducted. And where the case is one of pure recognition of someone well known to the witness, as in the witness know the person who that person is, the ID parade will not be conducted. So I don't know if I'm clear up to that point.
Very clear, Victor. Thank you. What reforms do you suggest?
On the part of reforms, the main reforms are, if you look at those cases I've just mentioned to you, those cases forms reforms. They provide the basis which all these problems can be changed on. The other one, apart from the ID parade, the other reforms which may be there are to include the dog parade, you include the dog parade, you also ensure the production of the ID parade evidence being timely produced in court, and also ensure that the list of those parties who have participated in the ID parade consented to it without it being forced. So I don't know if there's another question before.
Thank you very much, Victor. I have no further questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. So,
Yes, Kimari.
yes, just wondering on the results of the ID parade and the results of the dog parade. First of all, how binding are these results? And secondly, what is now the result at the dog parade is different from the ID parade? In short, my question is just how binding are the two as a process of identification?
Kimari, you remember when I said that if the witness is able to recognize the accused as one of the exemptions of the ID parade, then that will form the ID parade being conducted, because there is a case of pure recognition. So when that person goes to court, because the dog parade happens in court during the prosecutions, during the examinations, and that is examination in chief for the accused to be identified by the witnesses and to link him with the incident which has happened. The one for ID parade is to ensure that there is no issue of mistaken identity. Hope you have understood.
Yes, I have gotten it quite clearly. Yes, thank you.
Yes, so the two are different that way. The one is for confirmation in court. The other one is to remove that issue of mistaken identity.
Wow. Thank you, Victor. If we were to propose another presentation, what area would you like to cover, or let us hear from your end, because you are good at explanations.
Unless you tell me.
We were to analyze the whole of Civil Procedure Code and the Penal Code. Now, because we have some offenses that are having some elements that are confusing, because you are in the field, I was suggesting that you will clarify various offenses that have some elements where students usually tend to confuse. Actually, we will have an analysis so that we can identify some when we go through the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code, because Pluto was the one to go over the Criminal Procedure Code. Then, from the Criminal Procedure Code, because there will be some processes arising, we will also need your assistance. Then, in the Penal Code, because you will analyzing the same, we will need your assistance when it comes to confusing elements when it comes to various offenses. Yes, that is how I can state it.
Okay.
Thank you, Victor. So in closing remarks, we'd like to thank you for your extension of your hand and time for this presentation. It was very impactful and practical. Thank you, Victor.
Welcome and stay pleasant.
Thank you. Asante.
Thank you very much.
So allow me to end the meeting. Victor, Brian, umeona kitu wenye ni technical?
Safi. I mean,
Sasa next tunaingia hiyo Criminal Procedure Code na Penal Code manze. Tunaangusha kila kitu. Na applications zenye zina rise kwa criminal. Unajua watu wengi pia wamefocus na applications za civil. Hawajajua za criminal. Ndio hiyo sasa. Sawa. So next asubuhi good. Unaona mpaka niliona swali linauliza the threshold for prosecutor to appeal against kuachiliwa. Unaona? Sasa unapata kuna ka threshold pale na decisions nini. So unapata inside those tukipitia hiyo Civil Procedure Code tuta separate process na key elements zenye zinakuwa tested. Hizi vitu tutaiva hivyo.
Wazi.
Sawa, thanks. Acha sana cancel. Asubuhi tutamanage kupitia nini? Tulisemaje?
Asubuhi meeting.
For which nini? Tuweke nini? Usiku tupige originating someone's applications. Yes. Ama usiku sio tupige usiku lakini sana niko engaged. Wala iwezi.
Kesho.
Kesho manzi.
Kesho iwezi.
Alafu kesho inaweza. Si kesho tuko na session ya asubuhi na jioni. Kesho utaweza. Sawa JJ, thanks.
Tulimaliza maneno ya